conflict. This is a topic that's coming up so much at the moment in the workplace. And there's a few patterns that I'm seeing. And I'm just going to share 3 key areas that I think is really, really important when we talk about conflict in the workplace and how to deal with it. And most importantly, how to manage it for those managers who are dealing with the frontline team. What are the conversations happening? And these are the conversations where we're being proactive around addressing conflict and dealing with it. So again, nipping it in the bud before it snowballs. How often are we having conversations around these areas? Is it a weekly? Is it a daily? Is it a monthly? Or are we only seeing conflict come to the forefront when things have gotten so bad that they need to be dealt with? So it's really, really important. So if you are seeing conflict, how quickly is it being addressed? Is it a proactive approach or a reactive approach that you're seeing mostly? And if it's reactive, do those managers understand how to deal with it? I was listening to a really, really good podcast a couple of days ago, and it was a CIPD podcast, and they were talking about a lot of middle management don't actually have the training or the skills to deal with conflict in the workplace. So what many of them do is they avoid it. And then what ends up happening is it becomes a HR issue. And by that time, the employee has already had enough and they're ready to go. So what we really need to be thinking about is, how are we equipping managers that are dealing with the frontline team on these day-to-day issues in the workplace around HR compliance, around training and around conflict. So I've highlighted one there. I'm going to highlight 2 more. The second one that I want to highlight is around the conversations, okay? Not everyone is actually personality wise able to have those conversations, so they can be trained, but there needs to be role play, there needs to be scenario training, and it needs to be done in a safe environment with that manager or the team, whereby they're comfortable enough to actually understand how to have the conversation, how to maybe wrap it up and maybe take actions going forward with the staff members. So again, if you are doing training, do it in a safe environment so the manager feels secure and empowered, and do some role-based training and some scenario-based training where they bring the examples into that training session themselves with challenges they're having currently in the workplace, so they can maybe look at different ways to approach it. The next angle I would be looking at is there some sort of process in place with dealing with these conflicts in the workplace? Other than it escalating and going to HR, what does that look like at the moment? Is there an informal process around having the conversation? If there's another informal conversation, when does it go formal? How is it documented? And again, what is the tone? How are we speaking when we're having those conversations? And again, this comes up in the training and the processes piece. How are we mediating? So again, if that manager is having to mediate maybe 2 staff members that have a disagreement in the workplace, how are they mediating that, and do they know how to mediate those conflicts within the team? Again, all of these issues I'm seeing reoccur, and it comes down to training and structure. 2 easy things to implement, but they take the 2 biggest things that most organizations don't want to put into, which is time and money. But it'll be money well spent and time well spent, because if it's taken from a proactive approach, we know that most of these issues won't snowball, and where it's going to cost you a lot more money in the long run from a HR perspective.